Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm the inspirational Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And remember, sometimes it takes 3 takes.
Coming up, a WWE legend signs for AEW.
A big punishment for Big Lars.
Has the Extreme Rules card been leaked?
And has Sasha Banks been promised the world?
This is the news.
But to kick things off, we've got another Triple H story. Now, if you cast your minds back to last week, you'll remember we reported on Triple H, that big silly boy, liking a tweet criticizing Vince McMahon, WWE, and all their storytelling methods. Well, guess what? He's done it again!
Hey!
The big silly sausage. So he has liked a tweet from Shayna Mania's Running Wild, that's an interesting name, saying, I truly believe that if hashtag WWE talent can hang in there till Vince switches to his XFL pipe dream next year, and assuming Triple H switches to main roster control, things will actually improve. It's a ways away, but a hard reset and post-Fox deal growing pains would do wonders, IMO. Triple H clicked the big fat red love heart on that, so clearly he is rather upset, and I actually have a direct quote to that effect as well. So Wade Keller, and this is quite a tenuous source, he had a close friend of 3 WWE writers on his wrestling show the other day. They dived into all kinds of things on the toxic backstage atmosphere, the last minute changes to scripts and so forth. And here's a quote on Triple H. The most frustrated person in the back every single night is Triple H. He'll always take, especially the NXT guys, under his wing. It looks like he's consoling them. It looks like so much like he was the most frustrated person in the building every single night. So, some pretty interesting stuff there.
It is interesting. It's interesting that that's actually come out, because I suppose it's one of those things that we generally suspect. Like, you look at him creating this baby in NXT and making it such a perfect product, and then he goes along to Raw and SmackDown and just has to watch his father-in-law be whatever
mental.
He is nowadays. Yeah. And it makes sense that, especially, not only is he frustrated because he eventually wants to take control and just make it good again, hopefully, but also the fact that his guys from NXT get brought up and they're like, yeah, main roster, and then they're like, what the bloody hell is going on here?
We're getting pinned by Baron Corbin. I can totally get it. I mean, we've had reports about Triple H being frustrated in the past. Lord knows what he's actually doing on Twitter here. This is weird. Like, you can accidentally like one tweet, I guess, like every now and then. Sometimes your thumb might hit the button or whatever, and it's whatever. But doing it twice in a week to similar themed tweets, it's just kind of weird. It's almost like this 50-year-old man is taking a little diva huff and like going, yeah, take that, Dad. I'm going to like some tweets. Take that, old billionaire man. It's a really weird situation. I can believe the idea that he is it's very believable that he's the most frustrated man backstage, because so many of his pet projects have come up to the main roster and just kind of been main rostered. It's I think a lot of us are holding out onto this dream that Triple H is going to be the guy that comes in and saves everything. Whether or not that is actually realistic and whether or not that actually happens, we'll see when Vince eventually steps away. But I just kind of love the idea of these two bickering over the dinner table at the moment.
I sense that part of this is also due to the impending AEW thing that's happening, and I sense that Triple H is probably more sort of aware, at least socially, on how it's being received, and saying, look, this is going to be potentially a real issue for us. And I know they're not going head to head, but they are, WWE's biggest threat in 2 decades.
Exactly.
Probably. And Vince is probably like, it'll be fine.
Don't worry about it, pal.
Look at all the money that's coming in.
Look at those flippy dudes.
Yeah, but look at all the bits of the arena we have to, sort of close off.
Yeah.
And, look at the general reception for WWE. He just wants to take over, and this is probably his only outlet for doing it, is just liking the odd tweet and hoping that other people pick up on it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to do it. Let's see what happens, I guess. Food fight, probably.
Right, speaking of AEW, they have picked up another WWE legend.
A legend?
This one is a little bit different. I
okay.
was sort of cheating with the headline because they have signed Earl Hebner, WWE's legendary referee, who is 69, years of age. He, of course, worked for WWE since 1988 for about, I think, 17 years. He was obviously one of the most legendary figures back
for
then.
ages and ages.
And of course, associated with the infamous Montreal Screwjob. But getting a name like his on board is yet another good sign for AEW.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, I like the way they're kind of populating this universe with like all-stars in every aspect, not just the roster. Like this referee lineup is really cool. They've hired all these cool indie refs like Bryce Remsburg and Rick Knox and all these other people. And now they've got Earl Hebner, who of course got fired from WWE for selling bootleg merch out of his car with his weird brother. Hopefully he doesn't do that in AEW, obviously. But yeah, no, it's going to be cool to see Earl back on TV. Especially like the synergy of him and Jim Ross. It's going to be a cool visual.
Yeah, he's going to, all classic WWE. They know exactly who they're targeting with signings like this that aren't directly going to affect their product, but people are going to make that connection in their
familiarity.
head. Also announced, Aubrey Edwards was announced alongside Hebner. Of course, she worked in NXT as the company's second ever female referee last year, and Ring of Honor veteran official Paul Turner has also been announced alongside Bryce Remsburg and Rick Knox, who you mentioned. So they've got a stellar lineup of refs, by the way.
It really is. I believe Paul Turner had been with Ring of Honor since day one in 2002. So yeah, they're really scooping people up. Can't wait to see what this final product looks like next Saturday night.
Whoa,
it's going to be interesting
close
stuff.
now.
Very close. Can't wait. Anyway, we've got another big story on a big bad Lars Sullivan, a guy we seem to talk about every other day. Well, guess what? There's been a new development in his situation. So after reports that he wasn't going to be punished and that WWE were merely looking to the whole thing to blow over, guess what? One of his sponsors, one of WWE's sponsors has gotten involved. Mars Wrigley Confectionery, one of their top sponsors, was a bit, taken aback by the way WWE had just kind of hand-waved it. And so basically they turned the screw, as we speculated on the video last week. And now Lars has been fined $100,000. So WWE have a press release on it. I'll just read you a few choice bits. They talk about culture. They support a culture of inclusion regardless of gender, race, religion, or sexual orientation. We are committed to embracing all individuals as demonstrated by the diversity of our employees, performers, and fans worldwide. They then go on to say that Dylan Miley, aka Lars Sullivan, will be fined $100,000 and required to complete sensitivity training for offensive commentary uncovered from his past. And they're also going to have meetings with him, with community organizations, to foster further discussion around the power of social media and the impact of your words. So it looks very much like they're going to try and reform Big Lars, who last week issued his own statement saying this doesn't reflect who I am today, I'm sorry, and so forth. It was, pretty standard stuff. But he hasn't been taken off TV. He was there again on SmackDown last night, although it was kind of weird. He just kind of breathed on Kayla Braxton and then left. Strange things going on with that angle at the moment, but I don't know. What do you reckon of this?
I think it's a good thing. I think, for all we moan about WWE, and you can argue, well, they've only done this because, as you said, their sponsors may have forced their hand, but this is the right decision. This is what they should have done all along. The fine is, hefty enough for people to wince it a little bit. Yeah. But I think arguably the most important bit of it all, and I know you may argue that what are they actually going to do? Is there going to be any evidence of this actually happening? But all the sensitivity training and the working with local communities and local, organizations to work through this issue, because at the end of the day, as we always mention, WWE wrestlers are role models to thousands, if not millions of people across the globe.
Absolutely.
And they just need to be shown to be doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to do things like this every now and then. And to put the fine, the $100,000 into context, the average NXT wrestler earns $80,000 a year, up to about $150,000. This came out in an article the other week, an interview with Triple H, so it's kind of official and so forth. Lars, given that he's not long out of NXT, you can't imagine he's on much more than that average. So this is a very significant chunk of his annual wage. They've dealt him a really quite hefty fine there. Let's just hope it sticks and that the guy is actually able to reform all this stuff, because those posts are absolutely gross. There's no sticking up for them. Yeah, they're in the past, but they're objectively hideous. So the man needs to properly atone. So
I suppose you could say that fine is a little bit extreme. And speaking of extreme, the Extreme Rules card appears to have been sort of leaked, if not a little bit advertised, by the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. Of course, Extreme Rules is the next WWE pay-per-view that isn't NXT or in Saudi Arabia. That's the best way of probably explaining it. It's on July 14th. Actually, no, We got Sands of Time. No, not Sands of Time. Stomping Grounds before that.
Yeah, that's in June, isn't it? What the hell?
It's coming so thinking fast. I do apologise.
Money
Anyway,
in the Bank as well.
the July 14th Extreme Rules pay-per-view, they've advertised some matches for it, and I'll run you through some of them because potential spoilers for Money in the Bank, although as always, cards subject to change.
Yes.
The 4 matches advertised are Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles, no WWE Universal Championship win for AJ Styles then, not a great surprise there. A 1-on-2 handicap match with Roman Reigns facing Shane McMahon and Elias, that again kind of makes sense.
I'm with that.
A triple threat match for the WWE Championship between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and the champion Kofi Kingston.
No title change again.
And a Universal Championship match, a tables match nonetheless, between the champion Seth Rollins and Big Banter Baron Corbin.
Get in. How good is that going to be?
I'm slightly concerned that WWE are going to do one of those gimmicks where... Remember when Big Show just sort of stepped through a table and lost the title?
Yeah, that was it. You've lost that, brother. Do you think they're going to do
Baron
that?
Corbin going to be Universal Champion?
Absolutely. It's going to happen. The guy is a despicable troll heel piece of crap, and WWE absolutely love him for some reason, even though he is a proven ratings drain, as we saw last year. Look, I mean...
He's going to be Universal Champion and Mr. Money in the Bank. It's amazing.
At the same time.
He's going to win the Universal Championship and become champ.
He's going to usurp.
Baron 2 belts, baby.
Jokes aside, like we love Baron Corbin here. Well, because we really do. We think he's hilarious. But I imagine that him versus Seth Rollins and him potentially becoming Universal Champion at Extreme Rules is going to piss a lot of people off, which might be quite fun to read on Reddit. Can you imagine the dumpster fire that social media and that's going to be after this? But yeah,
you thought Jinder when it was bad.
To be fair, at least Baron's got a couple of cool moves.
Yeah.
Like Jinder can't even do a big boot without looking silly. So.
No, exactly. Although that triple threat match between Kofi, Owens, and Orton would be mint.
That'll be class. I think Drew versus AJ is a really cool match as well. Yeah, it's a cool little lineup. Like, I mean, Baron gets heat, man. Like, I know I'm really clutching at straws here, brother. Shall we move on? Shall we move on? So, Sasha Banks, still off television, still sitting on the floor in whatever arena or whatever she's doing. There's a new development in her situation. Basically, independent freelance journalist Tom Colahue has stated that the boss continues to refuse any and all of the big offers being made to her from WWE. They want her back, they want her part of the show, they want her on TV, they want her to play a role at Money in the Bank, and they have, quote, offered her the world, but she ain't budging.
It's a really interesting this because I, for one, immediately as soon as like Dana Brooke got added to that match, went, well, she's getting jumped backstage and Sasha's going to replace it. Although, to be credit where it's due, Dana looked great on Monday Night Raw. That crossbody off the ladder was really good and got me excited for her role in Money in the Bank. But it's really interesting that for once, WWE just chucking money in a problem isn't working. It's a principle thing for Sasha and the Banks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sasha and the Banks.
Don't know. It's too close to the pay-per-view. I do apologise. Yeah, it's a principle thing for her, and it does make sense that she's been there for years. She's probably earned a fair whack of money, and she wants. And there's other options obviously coming up. AEW. I know we won't bang on about it, but. There's other options there, and she was promised this thing, don't worry, we're going to put the women's tag team titles on you and Bayley and make it a proper thing, and then they just went, bollocks.
Yeah, saw it, Iconics. Yeah, no, absolutely. It goes to show it's like a continuation of the revival, turning down $500,000 a year. Leo Rush, I think it was $300,000 a year he turned down, and the Good Brothers have turned down a multi-million-dollar offer as well. It shows that it's not about money for these people. Some people can't just be bought off. They're creative. They want to be fulfilled. They want to be satisfied. And yeah, I mean, sure, if WWE give them like $2 million a year, they're probably like, hey, I'll take that to the bank, brother. They'll be Scrooge McDucking all night long. But in this situation,
it's almost like WWE might be worth changing some of their principles, but that won't happen. Not whilst Vince is in charge, at least. All right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. Don't forget you can tweet them at us at WhatCulture WWE, a regular contributor for today's first question. Uesugi Kenshin,
legend,
who says, who do you think Bray Wyatt's first feud should be with? I'd go with a Miz or Ali feud.
Ooh, that's interesting. I would like to see someone who can bounce off his wacky nonsense. I mean, I know they're on separate brands, but Finn might be cool. I know I'm probably going to get all kinds of hell for saying that because their last feud was god-awful, but I kind of like god-awful stuff, so maybe that'd be funny. I don't know.
It's interesting because they're presumably going to present him as some sort of heel, I imagine. You can't have that sort of evil yowie wowie character being a babyface, despite how over he appears to be with the WWE Universe. And you also need him to face someone who is going to lose. He has to win his first match back, obviously. And like you say, lose well, but also not be too damaged by it. I think someone like The Miz might be a fair shout. I think Ali...
This would be good, yeah.
The danger with Ali, as much as he'd be great just bouncing all over the shop, is, his star has sort of dipped after the injury and missing out on title matches and what have you. So... yeah, someone like The Miz. But let us know who you think it should be in the comment section.
How about the new rising star on Raw, Mojo Rawley?
I'll be fine with Bray absolutely destroying
on Monday night.
Taser Face or whatever we're calling him nowadays. Joel Henderson with the second question of today, who asked a question I really hope you say yes to. Due to the shows happening in London, of course, this week, could we ever see a major pay-per-view happen in the UK, with the last, of course, being SummerSlam in 1992?
I hope so, man. It'd be so much fun. Like, there was talk earlier this week, actually, of wrestlers within WWE wanting to come to the UK to do a major pay-per-view. Now, we saw all kinds of weird little pay-per-views in the Attitude Era. I believe Insurrection was one. There were some other ones as well take place over here, but they were just kind of like farty little C-show things. Like, there were some fun matches on them, but they weren't treated with any great deal of importance. It'd be really cool. We've certainly got the facilities, we've got the stadiums, we've got everything you could possibly need to hold a big time wrestling pay-per-view over here. And yeah, I just really want to see it.
Do you think one of the biggest stumbling blocks, a bit like when the UFC hosts events over in the UK, could be the time difference?
Absolutely could be, yeah, because people would be tuning in. Like, if you're in the US, you're talking, what time does it start in the US? About 7, 8 o'clock? Yeah, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon over here. So you're going to have issues that way.
The 2 o'clock in the morning, sorry.
Yeah. Or no, would it be? Is it the other way around? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they start at 7 p.m. when we watch them, so theirs would be... if they did it at USA time.
We don't understand time zones. You do, I do not. Oh God, yeah, sorry, I've got completely...
So like when UFC hosted recent big MMA events, and they had like Michael Bisping on, I seem to remember, they did an event that went on until about 6 in the morning because of the USA fans.
Got you.
So it just really pissed fans off. So you're either going to have to put it on late for English fans, which won't go down well, or you have to put it on an English time, which would be like mid-afternoon.
It's going to cheese off all the American fans. It's interesting. It would be a hurdle for them to jump. I think they could probably get away with it for one show.
Split the difference.
Yeah, just give us
have one that starts at, say, 9, 10 p.m. in the UK and sort of mid. I think fans, if you're a dedicated WWE fan, you're not bothered about your, it might be nice, just Sunday afternoon pay-per-view. And certainly, there's a lot of fantastic wrestling organisations here in the UK, but you would get, I'd say, a guaranteed sold out.
100%.
Give us anything. Give us bloody Backlash if you're not using anything.
Give us great balls of fire.
Battlegrounds. We'll have anything. You can do all your gimmicky, let's put a London taxi there. Fine, whatever.
It's a post box.
Yeah, just whatever, please. Okay, right, let's move on to today's final question from Fatima Khan, who says, do you think NXT should have its own version of the Money in the Bank ladder match? And if yes, who do you think should win the briefcase?
I think it would have been really cool. Like, we reported a leaked card a few weeks ago and it had one in it. I think the match would be stupendous. I think it would be fantastic. As to whether or not they should actually do it, I don't know. Like, an hour of television every week is not a lot of time, and they already have a lot of difficulty finding spaces for everyone every single week anyway. So while I'm not totally averse to the content of that, I think that fitting it in would be very difficult. As to who should win if it existed, probably Adam Cole. He's a sleazy bell end, so...
I'd love it to happen. I'd even accept it, even having 3 Money in the Bank ladder matches, even though it might be a little bit of overkill on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And it's very simple. Money in the Bank briefcase, Money in the Bank brothcase. It has to be Matt Riddle.
Brothcase.
Right.
What about the Boogs? You could play it like
the Boogs.
Play it like a drum.
Give it the Boogs, actually. Yeah, that's a very good point. Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and it's a little bit belated, but it still counts. I want to give a shout out to JM Punk, who tweeted us on Monday because he was going to Raw, and he sent us this lovely "Why Here's Why" sign with a WhatCulture logo on. Thanks to all of our fans who go to live events and take signs. All we need now, we've had a "This Is the News" sign, we've obviously millions of Simon Miller signs. All we need now is a poosh sign. Over to you. Let us know your thoughts on all of today's news stories in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And you can send us Twitter questions at WhatCultureWWE, and whilst you're there, follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for zero.
Don't understand how the alphabet works.
I don't know letters.
Follow me.
I don't know letters.
You can follow me at Adam Wilber. You can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks, Andy. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.